We got a whole cast of characters today. Sam Yarnell stops by later in the show. We'll talk Major League Baseball. Damon Bruce, Bay Area sports media personality. One of the great sports radio hosts that was in that market for a long time. Now the host of Damon Bruce Plus over on YouTube. You can go and check that out. We're all on YouTube these days. Except us. We're also on television. And over 270 affiliates across the U.S. and Canada. We appreciate you being with us. We will also be joined by Bill Bender, our college football insider on the show. Does a great job with the sporting news. He will join us coming up in about 10 minutes. Get some thoughts with him on the Mike Lombardi news that came down yesterday with Lombardi being put on a leave of absence. HR issue. Don't know what it is. We'll try and see if Bill knows anything about that, and just the overall state of affairs with the North Carolina football department. And then also get into it with him on sort of this black cloud that is hanging over college sports right now, that is NIL, that is the potential for the Big Ten and SEC to secede from the NCAA, at least on the football side of things. So there's that conversation to delve into as well. But speaking of black clouds, there is one that we are going to discuss to begin the show today, and that is why we're getting into the big story. And the big story is presented by the Daily Wrap, our Substack newsletter, available Monday through Friday. This Substack newsletter, the Daily Wrap, all you got to do is take out your phone, scan the QR code right there. Very simple. And you're subscribed. Simple as that. Go and do it. It's available every afternoon. We're covering the top stories in sports on that Daily Wrap Substack newsletter. We encourage you to go and check it out. We appreciate you doing so. Nobody is talking about the impending doom and gloom in Major League Baseball. I keep saying it on the show because the ESPNs of the world don't want to talk about it. The Fox Sportses of the world don't want to talk about it. Why? Because they're in bed with Major League Baseball. They are partners for Major League Baseball. So they sure as hell don't want to talk about the fact that there's a really good chance there is no Major League Baseball next year. And this is not me being a doomsdayer. This is not me trying to scare you. I'm not carrying water for anybody one side or the other. There's a really good chance that we don't just lose out on a postseason like we did in the 90s and the beginning of a season. There's a chance there is no baseball in 2026 as a result of the labor strife right now that is taking place between players and owners. And the issue at the top of the list, it's issue 1A, 1B, 1C, and 1D, is the issue of a salary cap. So as we sit here and talk about the trade deadline, which is about a week away, as we sit here and talk about the trade deadline, and try to get our arms around who could be moving, teams have to sit there and wonder, what are we making moves for if there is no next season? And this is a very real possibility right now. Teams are talking about this openly. ESPN MLB writer Jeff Passan, who I think is one of the crown jewels of that network, says while there's a lot of posturing going on, some owners don't expect there to be baseball at all in 2027. The CBA expires on December 1st. And if there's no baseball, there's no baseball. I mean, I want you to think about an entire season. Remember, when baseball went on a work stoppage, when the owners and players were at each other's throats in the 90s under Bud Selig and Don Fehr, and those sides going toe-to-toe, when all that took place, it was the end of the season. Football was starting. The NBA would soon be starting. The NHL would be getting underway. It sucked, especially if you were in Montreal. Hello to our friends watching on Game Plus. If you're watching the show in Montreal, it sucked for those fans. It may have been the reason ultimately that Montreal lost Major League Baseball. Think about that. They were on the verge of a World Series that would have changed the entire trajectory of that franchise. Instead, there was no postseason. And we didn't get to find out if Felipe Alou's team would win a World Series. And instead, there was no baseball, and now Montreal is still hoping one day to get a Major League Baseball team back. I want you to think about not just a postseason being missed, but an entire Major League Baseball season. What are you going to do next spring? Boy, the WNBA looks really good right now, doesn't it? Think about all the times you would tune in for a Major League Baseball game or head out to the ballpark. Maybe there'll still be minor league baseball. A lot of times it operates sort of on a different plane, so maybe there'll be minor league baseball. But that certainly doesn't fill the spot, fill the void by the loss of an entire Major League Baseball season. I'll tell you who would be happiest and who probably wouldn't care. The A's wouldn't care because they're playing in Sacramento for another year. So if they lose 2027, this season is their last in Sacramento, and the next time you see the A's, they're playing in Las Vegas in 2028. They're probably one of the few teams, I shouldn't say that. There are teams that are claiming to lose money, the smaller market teams, the ones who want the salary cap. Those are the teams that probably don't care if they lose a season because of their operating costs, what it costs to field a team. If they're not a particularly good team, attendance dwindles. For those teams, it's going to suck. I mean, it's not going to suck as bad. If you're a Dodgers fan and you're losing a prime year of Shohei Ohtani, yeah, it sucks. If you're a Yankee fan and you're losing a prime year of Aaron Judge, yeah, it sucks. If you're some of these other teams with superstar players in the prime of their careers that you're marketing, that you're going to watch, yeah, it probably sucks. This is all in the lap of Rob Manfred, who, is planning to wind down his tenure as the commissioner of Major League Baseball. And there are a lot of people that will judge his tenure on different things. The change in the pace of the game, games being faster. Last year, I don't know if baseball could have had a bigger crescendo to its season than Toronto and the Dodgers. And now, less than a year later, we are facing the real prospect. There is not going to be baseball in 2027. And that's happening under the watch of Rob Manfred. We're coming back. That's the big story. We're going to talk about the 49ers and a whole bunch more with Damon Bruce next. Welcome back to the show. Mondays during the college football season, you're going to see a lot of this guy. The great Bill Bender, who does a terrific job on college football and the NFL. But we talked to him about college football. I'd have him on every day. He's that good. With the sporting news. So I wanted to get you on. It's like preseason for us, so we got to get ourselves into shape. That's the way I'm looking at it, Bill. We got to get ourselves into shape here. So I said let's get him on today and get him warmed up with a couple of things. Mike Lombardi, which broke yesterday morning, leave of absence from North Carolina. Boy, they've got it going on there at UNC right now between what happened last year and the whole Bill Belichick thing, and now Mike Lombardi on a leave of absence. What do we know?
Well, what we know is what the release said. I'm sure there's details to follow. We do know that this was not Belichick pushing the leave of absence. This came from the university. So, there may be some details that follow in the coming days, but I think this is just another layer of what has been a failed experiment at North Carolina. And shocking to me, because I'll be the first to admit, I thought Belichick coming into college, it would work. Maybe not at the level of the Patriots, but I just thought the X's and O's, the acumen, the ability to spot talent, which he did in New England for years, would translate more than it has. And I don't know, Jason, would you put an over-under on if I said Belichick's gone by 7.5 games this year?
Really? You think he would go mid-season?
There was reports that it would happen this year, but I don't think they would do that. But I look at their schedule, and it's murderous. They have a tough schedule this year, and it's hard to find 5 or 6 wins in there. And I don't think, even with bringing in Bobby Petrino, and I like Bill Belichick. I respect him, and I thought at ACC Media kickoff last year he was great. But this is just, like I said, another layer to, kind of that WTH is going on.
Yeah.
See how I clean that up like a pro?
Very good.
What is going on in Chapel Hill?
Bubba Cunningham transitioned out. You have Steve Newmark there. Is he the right guy to sort of, we're watching Ward Manuel now transition out of Michigan. Was Newmark, is he the right guy to sort of clean up whatever mess is going to be left behind here?
Well, and the other part of this is you compare it to Michigan. Michigan cares more about football when they've been more successful in basketball over the whole of the last 20 years. I would argue North Carolina will always care about basketball no matter what the football team does. So it's a little bit, I think they're more worried about how it's going to go on the basketball court, and where that money's going there. And there is a camp that there are a few that believe that, the way that they let Mac Brown go was wrong. And I'm one of those people. I think, Mac Brown was having success at a decent level. He developed Sam Howell and Drake May. Those are NFL quarterbacks. Where's that development in Chapel Hill now? And I would anticipate 1 or 2 more years of Bill Belichick max, and then they got to get serious about football, right?
Well, but here's the thing. If Bill Belichick was the Hail Mary, right? And I think that's how some people would probably view it. For football, Bill Belichick was their Hail Mary. Well, if the Hail Mary fails, usually it's game over. So how do you know what I mean? Like if the Hail Mary fails, where are you going?
Money's there though, and this is an academic institution and a school at large that's been treated as, when we talk about the realignment wheels turning, North Carolina's name always comes up in the SEC and the Big Ten. Because of the money, because of the branding, they got the Jordan brand. But as far as a football coach, I think if the Hail Mary doesn't work, then they would probably find like a Sun Belt or a Conference USA coach or the American coach that's hot, like all the SEC schools did last year. So you would start over on that end. But at the same time, remember, when Bill Belichick was rumored to be on the way out last year, names like James Franklin and others were turning up for this job. It's still a pretty good job. You can't tell me North Carolina and Virginia Tech aren't comparable jobs in football.
I want to talk to you about, as college football season gets ready to begin, we got Big Ten Media Day, all this fun stuff. As we get ready to start the season, it feels like, much like baseball has a cloud hanging over it with what everybody is predicting to be a lengthy work stoppage next year. There may not be baseball next year. I'm preparing people for that. College football's got the NIL issue. It's got all this mishigas when you talk about the Big Ten and the SEC potentially seceding, which some people think is just hogwash and other people think it's legit. Is there this cloud? Do you feel like it as somebody who's immersed in it? Do you feel like there's a cloud sort of hanging over not just college sports, but college football in particular?
Well, it's interesting you mentioned baseball because I've always said this financial system in college football reminds me of Major League Baseball. The Yankees are always going to have more money. The Dodgers are going to have more money, just like Ohio State. And when I think one of the sticking points with the Ohio States, the Georgias, the Blue Bloods, is a salary cap does not benefit them at all, because they've built this advantage for so many years. But at the same time, how sustainable is it to play at the level that these schools do? Not all 138 can do that. I think there's about 40 that can do that, and most of them are in the SEC and the Big Ten. Ohio State, and it's not without consequence that today, J.P. Morgan Chase is going to put a patch on their jerseys. This game's about money. We can pretend like it's about pageantry and all those things that we love on Saturday, but this game is engrossed and finally all in about money, and it's about who can keep up. And I think that's the thing that worries me the most, is how long will this financial system work? Well,
you asked the question, so I will ask you to answer your own question. How long can it work?
The only thing that's different from baseball is this sport is far more emotional. It's governed by emotion. I say that all the time. Whether you fire a coach like James Franklin or Brian Kelly last year based on emotion from the loss to UCLA or Texas A&M. So as long as people are going to pay the money, it would work. But, you're seeing the first steps towards collective bargaining with the student athletes, which they should have. They should have a voice in these proceedings. There's no question. You're seeing the idea of a salary cap, the idea that, hey, how long can we do this? Playoff expansion is going to prolong that in some ways, because the boosters and the donors are getting a payback for their investment, and they could just say, hey, well, at least we made the playoff, even if it's a 2014 playoff. And that's part of it as well. So again, as much as it's all off the field, I still think the product on the field is pretty good. And in the corner of my eye here, I'm trying not to watch Indiana beat Ohio State in the Big Ten championship on a replay over here. I'm trying to keep my eyes forward.
Bill Bender does a great job with college football. You're already in midseason form, so we don't need any more preseason. We'll have you on as needed, and we can't wait to talk to you throughout the season. Thank you, my friend.
Hey, I can't wait. Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
All right, let's shift gears from college football and get into the NFL. All things Bay Area sports. It's always a treat when I get to talk to this guy. The amazing Damon Bruce. Bay Area sports. That's the truth, man. It is the truth. It's always a treat when I get to talk to you, my man.
What's up, Paige? How are you?
Doing all right. I can't complain. Life is good. Like you said, it's good and it sucks all at the same time, right? That's it.
I got a yin and yang of absolutely wonderful and totally sucks that defines my entire life, no doubt.
I agree. At least we're not working at ESPN. So Damon Bruce, I want to talk to you. As soon as this 49ers thing broke, I said, I got to get Damon on the show. Now, you went out to Niners camp. So the first question I will ask is, as much as this is being discussed outside the Niners bubble, how much of it is a discussion within the Niners bubble?
Well, not much of a discussion other than, reporters just sort of, tittering to themselves in the corner and on the sideline. But it's really not much of a discussion. And let me just say this, because I know we're going to get into all of it and we're going to walk around the car and look at it from every angle. If the true measure of a good chef, Jason, is how's the food on the, it's how good is the food when he's not there? That's a great restaurant. That looked like 49er training camp. And yes, Kyle Shanahan did walk out about a half an hour into it, and he was physically out there, but he's clearly not running things the way that he has in the past. But you would not know that from the training camp that I had my own two eyes on just yesterday. That looked like a Niners training camp. The team was fast. The team was bouncy. The team felt light. There is not some pall hanging over the practice field or anything like that. It very much looked like 49ers training camp. So I think that that's a testament to how good of an operation Kyle Shanahan really has. And, going into year 10, I guess it should be set up as such. There are a lot of people in there who are doing a hell of a job making up for whatever he is unable to do right now with what he just went through. All
right. As for what he just went through, as somebody who is in the belly of the beast and, has lived that Bay Area sports media life, I find it almost implausible that nobody knew about this. Everything leaks, other than where Jimmy Hoffa's buried and the Kennedy assassination. Everything leaks, okay? So I find it hard to believe that somebody didn't talk to somebody, something didn't get out somewhere, that the media didn't know about this. I see media people trying to protect themselves. I saw Tim Kawakami yesterday out there on my feed, complaining about how certain people were judging this story and how certain people were judging the media in the Bay Area. As somebody who's there, is it plausible to you that nobody knew?
Entirely.
Really?
I mean that. I really mean that, Jason. I'm going to tell you right now, you won't see a single broken story from a Bay Area beat writer about something that happened to the roster, about something that happened in free agency, about something that happened on premises. This was very much off premises. So there's that. How dialed in everyone is to just getting information first. It feels like there are 4 NFL insiders that share the news to the rest of the world. And it's like that almost for every football team. Having said that, for the last 30 years, 20 of them I've been out here, the San Francisco 49ers are as a controlling an operation of information as you will ever see. I don't want to say uncooperative, but the least warm, welcoming, glad you're here, how can we help media department, probably in all Bay Area teams. Their control of this story doesn't make sense if there was really nothing to control. I mean, if they're saying it was just an accident, Well, accidents happen. I don't understand why all the cloak and dagger. If you're telling me it was just for Shanahan's mentals and he wasn't prepared to go public with it, okay, I want to be respectful of that. But at the same time, this is one of the most recognizable, famous people in Northern California. And for the 49ers to have done whatever they did to make sure that this remained cloaked in darkness rather than see sunlight, the amount of influence they have over, police departments, hospitals, first responders, EMTs. I mean, was an awful lot of let's not talk about this clearly talked about in the smallest circle of people that did know about it. Now, Trent Williams didn't even know about it. I mean, the 49ers as a team, as a roster, I don't think really knew about it until very, very late in the process, several days after the actual crash had happened. And what I think we're looking at more than anything is another example of the Streisand effect really being true. The Streisand effect is, of course, wanting to make sure a story doesn't become bigger than you think it should be. And in that action, you make the story much bigger than it was. And the 49ers have certainly accomplished that. And there's a lot of smart people in the room. I think that they all knew that this was going to be the way the merry-go-round whipped back around to them. Well, we're going to have to answer a lot of questions about why wasn't this known? How can something so public happen and yet no one knows about it? It's an incredible amount of control that they have. And for something that is as innocent as a car crash, that's one thing. I go back to like the worst of Alden Smith, the worst of Ray McDonald. There were some unsavory characters around the San Francisco 49ers. What was covered up then that we never got to know about? What was, and that's the level of scrutiny that they've invited on themselves by handling something that seems to be just an accident that when you walk away from it is just a thank God nothing worse happened situation. And to sort of doctor it the way they did doesn't make sense. So the dots really don't connect. But I do sort of want to give everybody involved a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, including the Bay Area media and the media at large. Let me tell you, there is like a 2-week window where we officially do not have our eyes all over the NFL. And it is in that window in which this accident happened. So I'm willing to cut everyone a little bit of a break here, but why? Like my question is simply why? I think we all know people who have gotten into car accidents. Some of them drift all the way into the lane of close call.
Yeah.
We can relate to this. We can really relate to this. I'm not sure why it was so protected if there was nothing to protect. And that is a question that the 49ers have inadvertently invited upon themselves, and they should have to lie in that bed because they seem to have they went right to DEFCON 1 for something that wasn't even a battle.
Damon Bruce is hanging out with us. Damon Bruce Plus on YouTube. Lest we forget to tell people about that, you can go watch him there. He's going to hang around for one more segment. I want to talk to him about the Warriors post-LeBron decision and also about the Giants, who are an absolute mess out there in the NL West. We're coming back. Lots more to do on this Tuesday edition of Sports Wrap. Sam Yarnell will be with us in 10 minutes. We'll get into some baseball. Yankees going to be without Cody Bellinger for 4 to 6 weeks with a hamstring injury. Pirates lose a big piece of their offense, too, last night. Who knows for how long. Get into all that. Damon Bruce of Damon Bruce Plus, which you can watch on YouTube. Right after you're done watching our clips on our YouTube channel, you should go over to Damon Bruce Plus. Check those out.
Wonderful idea.
I think so. All right, we got into the Niners, who are, by the way, the third best team. As good as the Niners are, on paper, they're the third best team in that division, which is just insane to think about how good that division is. 1, 2, and 3 out there. And you'd think there could be 3 teams from that division that make the playoffs this year. As for the Warriors, who have been right on that playoff bubble here, it feels like, on the hamster wheel of kind of mediocrity for the last few seasons. They don't get LeBron. They don't get Giannis. They've got an injured Jimmy Butler. Draymond's coming back. Kerr's coming back. And we're talking about a Warriors team that's just going to run it back next year with a lot of what we saw this year, Damon Bruce. How does that make you feel?
You ever hear your grandmother tell you not to put all your eggs in one basket? That is what the Golden State Warriors did in this pursuit of LeBron James. And it's funny. I think that they, were they in on the Brown trade out of Boston? Because if they weren't, the amount of free agents over the years that the Warriors have evaluated as good, but not good enough. We're OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam, the amount of guys who could have come in here and really helped, but they never pulled the trigger because they were protecting assets for the post-Curry era. Well, guess what? It's about to be the post-Curry era real fast. And Joe Lacob and company and Mike Dunleavy and company, look, man, they've screwed this up. There's no way to even pretend that they have not misplayed the twilight of Steph's career. I reject the notion that they screwed up the prime. They screwed up to the prime of Steph Curry's career. They won 4 titles during Steph Curry's prime. That's ridiculous.
Who's saying that? Who's saying they screwed up his prime?
That was what the complaints used to be. And I said, no, and I used to say, look, the complaints that you really have are coming in the future. Yeah. And look, Jason, if you're looking for a moment in time, where did everything start going wrong? It was the James Wiseman pick. The 2-timeline plan never ushered in the new timeline. And then, unfortunately, Jonathan Kuminga, the most average NBA player that ever held up the gears of business for a year and a half. And Moses Moody, a lottery pick who I think will top out as a role player at best. They never initiated the other timeline, which was sort of fool's gold always to begin with. The only timeline that ever mattered was Steph Curry's timeline, and they seem to look beyond that. And these decisions are all coming home to roost right now. And in the pursuit of the one big free agent that was Giannis. Oh, no, wait, that didn't happen either. So now it's going to be LeBron. Draymond opted out, and everybody here knows each other, so you can pretty much count on this happening. No, LeBron goes to the one city that he's got absolutely no relationship with, nothing. It's not a return to glory in Cleveland. It's not a I'm back Miami. It's not a I've always wanted to play with Steph. It's the has LeBron ever said the word Philadelphia out loud? He's already said I don't even want to live there. He's going to live in Manhattan, I guess. So, the Warriors were banking on something, several things happening. None of them have happened. And that's why, Jason, the window isn't shutting. The window's shut. Here it is. The window is shut without something that is, a level of no one has even had the foresight to think about it. Level trade, 15-team trade that gets them what? They're in trouble, man. They're in trouble.
It's crazy, and it's crazy because Kerr decides to come back after a lot of people thought he may have coached his last game at the end of that season, and it felt like the breakup was imminent. Maybe a smooth departure, a smooth landing into something else, and now you've got him signed for multiple years that you're gonna have to pay him. You've still got Curry that you got to figure out. Draymond's planning to come back. It just seems like a ship without a rudder to me. They got what's the plan here? They got 2 spots, a $28 million spot and a $12 million spot. Draymond's not good enough to spend the 28 on. I don't know who's good enough to earn the 12 after. They have let all of free agency happen before they got involved in it. And they're the only team in the NBA who has not made a free agent move this offseason, even something around the edges. It didn't have to be as big as LeBron, but just do something. The only thing that's really happened to this roster is that they've lost Quentin Post, who was sort of an interesting young big that Memphis put an offer table on the sheet for, and the Warriors didn't match it. And in a lot of ways, I wouldn't have either. $30 million over 3 years for Quentin Post is an awful lot of money for a backup big. I would love to have Quentin Post right now. The Warriors would love to have had Quentin Post back, knowing that they weren't going to get LeBron James. My goodness. In the last minute here, Curry, do you think there's any chance if it gets bad, he asks out, or do you think he retires a Warrior and just retires earlier because of the timeline here?
I think he sees the merit in being a one-team superstar. I do. I think he sees the historical significance in that. I also think that he sees the concept of ring chasing being one of the biggest insults you can actually give ring culture. So I don't think he's going to put on another uniform. But all of a sudden, if you're the Golden State Warriors, and as Joe Lacob has said, he's now interested in what comes after Steph Curry. Well, the only way what comes after Steph Curry is good is by trading Steph Curry at the end of Steph Curry. So who's got the guts to do that?
Damon Bruce live. Check him out on YouTube. I'm going to hold him for the YouTube audience. You guys are going to get to hear him wax poetic about the San Francisco Giants. Thank you, Damon. Welcome back to the show. You didn't think we'd leave Sam Yarnell out of the party, did you? Sam did. Ah, baby. Never. Sam Yarnell hangs out with us to talk baseball. Odds and ends coming up in 10 minutes. David Aardsma on the show on Wednesday as SportsWrap goes inside baseball. Well, that's baseball. So, Sam, as much as we like to bang on the Yankees, and even though I'm a Yankee fan, I'll bang on them harder than anybody. As much as we like to bang on the Yankees, when you consider most of the year without Fried, most of the year without, all of the year pretty much without Clark Schmidt, no Aaron Judge, no Giancarlo Stanton, now they lose Bellinger again, and the team's 14 games over 500. So as much as we want to get on Brian Cashman, as much as we want to get on Aaron Boone, they're 14 games over 500, and they've been missing key ingredients to this thing the entire year. Bellinger out now, it looks like 4 to 6 weeks. Trade deadline approaching. It feels like there's going to be a real urgency for them to go and get a bat. I feel like Hunter Goodman's the guy. I know you say because of the market and Shea Langelier's injury and all this that people are going to hold teams over the barrel for Hunter Goodman. I don't know where else they're going because they've got to go and get some offensive production because Ali Sanchez ain't going to last.
Yeah, so a lot of context here. First of all, Aaron Judge has missed 2.5, 3 weeks at this point.
No, way more than that. He's missed months. He's missed months.
He was out at the end of June, so a month. A month.
Nope. You're wrong. You're wrong on this, but go ahead.
And again, when he was playing, he was the MVP favorite over Yordan Alvarez, who was outplaying him by 1.5 miles. But regardless, Aaron Judge was really good.
May 31st.
June.
Two
So
full
6
months.
weeks.
2 full
6
months.
weeks at this point. Again, when he was playing, which even through May is the first 3 months of the season, 4 months of the season, the guy was playing at an MVP caliber. Like the Yankees had assets at this point this season. The current juncture, the point about the Yankees is this. The context around Goodman is that at this point, I think a lot of people in baseball just don't think he's going to get moved. Between you have the report coming out that GMs are having owners tell them to plan for there not to be a single game played next year and operate accordingly. Everything around the trade market has gotten very murky. I would be very surprised if we see actual high level name brand players that have club control and aren't on expiring contracts, moved at this deadline. What I'll say is this, the context around the Yankees. Now, the report coming out yesterday that they may plan to be a little more stagnant at the deadline, especially Byron Buxton may be the only thing, again, expiring contract, maybe the only thing that they go out and try to get at this deadline, which again, the Yankees and Byron Buxton, that's going to be very interesting when he gets injured.
I don't want to see Buxton.
But I'll say this, the Yankees are putting the smoke out there, right, for them to make the move of, we're just going to hunker down. We're going to hunker down until the playoffs start. And by the time the playoffs start, they're going to get Stanton back probably the last week of the season. Maybe they'll have Judge back. I really think nobody knows on Aaron Judge at this point if he's going to play at all this season or this postseason or not. So hopefully, maybe you'll get Aaron Judge back. But again, Stanton's the big one when it comes to playoff hitting. You'll get Bellinger back around that time. And hopefully by that point, your arms are warmed up enough that, like you mentioned, the time that Cole has missed, the time that Fried missed, those arms still have to get warmed up over the course of the last 2 months of the season. So it'll be very interesting. And then you get one layer further within the context of all of that, Jason, and that is, look at where the Yankees are. Sure, they have the best wild card spot, but they've been chasing the Rays all year. Think about it right now. Even today, if you inject Stanton and Bellinger into that Yankees lineup, are they favored in a series against the Rays? I don't think so. They'd be underdogs against Martinez, McClanahan, and Rasmussen. I don't care if you're throwing Schlittler, Cole, or Fried. But the thing is just this for me with the Yankees. There has never been a better opportunity and gosh, we're getting to the end of Aaron Judge's career, and there has to be a whole different conversation around that. There has never been a better opportunity for the Yankees during Aaron Judge's career to sell at the deadline than there is right now. I doubt that they'll do that. But they could do exactly what the Nationals are doing right now. They could do exactly what the Nationals are doing right now. They have a couple of pieces that they could move to improve their team and remain competitive in that wild card. They're not winning the division, right? You don't even believe they're winning the division at this point.
I don't necessarily agree with you. I don't necessarily agree with that.
You don't believe that the Rays are winning that division.
They're 3 games back. There's no way I can say that. I can't.
And we're talking on a whole segment about how the Yankees don't have their best 3 players for the rest of the season. The Rays are winning that division. I got news for you. They're going to win that division.
All right, move away from that because I want to give a minute to the Pirates, who are now the 3rd wild card team, 107 games into this Major League Baseball season. Great story developing in Pittsburgh. My Pirates, hello, Sportsnet Pittsburgh. We love you there. They did lose Esmeralyn Valdez last night. Got hit in the hand. And he's been one of those offensive sparks for that team. Interesting to see what the Pirates do at the deadline, Sam.
Yeah, the Esmeralyn Valdez thing was cute, and it was great. It was fun. This happens every year, and every time it happens, everyone pretends it's the first time ever. But I could go back year over year and tell you this exact thing happening with a different ball club every year. John Kesky-Noel with the Cleveland Guardians. Everyone thought he was going to be. You want to go back a little bit further? Yermín Mercedes. It was bound to happen, Jason.
We're coming back. More to do. Odds and ends are next. Just about time to put the wraps on this baby for a Tuesday. Tomorrow on the show, David Aardsma, former big league reliever and closer, will be here as Sports Wrap goes inside baseball. And who knows who else may stop by the program. That's why you got to tune in. A couple of reminders before we go. If you haven't already done so, make sure to subscribe to the Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast. It's available on all your favorite podcasting platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Odyssey, Amazon, you name it. Any podcasting platform, you can listen to this show, crystal clear audio, Monday through Friday, 45 minutes, limited commercial interruptions. It works just as well as an audio companion as it does a TV show or a video on YouTube. We encourage you to subscribe. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel is the place to find all things Sports Wrap with Jason Page. The Monday through Friday TV version of the show, 45 minutes, completely commercial free, available for you on YouTube. Go and subscribe. It's free. We've got extra content there. My conversation with Damon Bruce today, you didn't see all of it on the television show. You'll see all of it on YouTube, because we ran out of time. TV only gives us so many minutes. Got to hit the commercials, all that stuff. Just go over to the YouTube channel. We talked all about the San Francisco Giants and the mess that is that organization, on top of everything we discussed with the 49ers and the Warriors. My conversation with Damon Bruce, the extended version, available on the YouTube channel. All sorts of extended conversations. Sports Wrap Shorts also available there. 1 to 3 minute long vertical videos. When news breaks, we jump in and talk about it on YouTube on the Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. So go and check that out as well. Sports Wrap's website, if you haven't gone yet, sportswrap.tv. Simple, easy to remember. It's above my head, so you can't miss it. Sportswrap.tv for the website. This has everything I just talked about and more. The podcast, the YouTube channel, clips from the show. It's also got the Substack Daily newsletter. You can go and sign up right there on the website, sportswrap.tv. You could find your affiliate. You want to know where the show is airing in your market, in your city, in your state? All you got to do, go to sportswrap.tv and you will see that information. Just put in your city and state and you'll find out where the show is. Okay. One other thing. You want to contact us. I get people that reach out to me on X, on all these different places. You can actually contact us through the website, sportswrap.tv. At the bottom of the page, there's a contact section. Send us your love, send us your hate. Just send it. We're happy with it either way. And without any further delay, on this Tuesday edition of the show, it's time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends. We thought it might be the end for Conor McGregor after his last UFC fight, which lasted all of about a minute against Max Holloway, UFC 329 out here in Las Vegas, after it looked like he tore his ACL. But apparently, he wants to run it back against Holloway in 2027 for the final fight of his UFC contract. Now, he's calling it the last dance. You get the whole Michael Jordan, Chicago Bulls thing. He's calling it the last dance. It's the final fight on his contract with UFC. That doesn't mean it's the last dance as in he's retiring, because he could sign another contract with UFC after that fight. But he is making it clear, in no uncertain terms, Conor McGregor wants to come back from this torn ACL, and I wouldn't put it past him to try and do it. And Dana White's obviously going to have to make some decisions in terms of what happens between now and then with Holloway, and then what a fight between the two of those guys looks like, given the enormous disappointment that was their match just a couple of weeks ago. Odds and ends, Baker Mayfield trying to get a deal done with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it just ain't happening. He's reporting to training camp without that new deal. And it doesn't look like they'll get a deal done before the team's first practice on Wednesday. And once the season starts, a lot of times these deals don't get done. A lot of times teams won't want to talk about it. His contract expires at the end of the 2026 regular season. And right now, he's 16th among NFL quarterbacks in terms of average pay at $33.3 million. And no matter what you think of Baker Mayfield, his run with the Browns, how he made it to Tampa Bay, the amazing story that is Baker Mayfield's career, overcoming a lot to get to where he is. He is sure as hell better than this. He's better than a lot of the quarterbacks that are making more money than him. So Baker Mayfield obviously in the right to be asking for more money. But the reality is this: you got Vita Vea right now over there in Buccaneer land that wants out. They're a very talented man in the middle of that organization. He wants out, asking for a trade. If all of a sudden this thing starts to fall apart for the Buccaneers, and a lot of people are expecting big things from them this year, if it starts to fall apart, why are you going to go and pay Baker Mayfield a ton of money if you don't have the team to surround him with to go and try and make a run at this thing? Obviously, big decisions that the Buccaneers are going to have to make. Hey, congratulations, Ohio State. They got a patch deal done for like $19 million. Saw that story today. We were talking about the rich getting richer in college football. About $17 million for JP Morgan Chase. We were talking about it with our friend Bill Bender earlier in the show. $17 million. It's a lot of cash to have your stuff plastered all over all 36 of the Buckeyes teams. it's going to do it for us on this Tuesday edition of the show. We appreciate you being with us. Thank you to our friends Damon Bruce, Sam Yarnell, and Bill Bender. I'm Jason Page. That does it for Sports Wrap. We'll see you back here on Wednesday. Bye-bye.